might be it.
Nope.
I see something happening.
Holy shit, there you are.
All right.
Wow, that worked. That was a guess.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair clubs system places, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out for the last hour waiting for the broadcast. I'm Spencer Kobren, live from Los Angeles. Joe Tillman in TVT Studios, Vancouver, British Columbia. While I am doing the opening, I'm going to try to add the workable link to The Bald Truth and some of our other resources so we can get some viewers back up. Guys, if you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am, who we are. I'm a consumer advocate for men and women who are unfortunately dealing with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss, the 2 most read volumes in the world on the prevention and treatment of hair loss. And I know that sounds like a big deal, and I guess it is, but I've been doing this for a little bit more than 20 years. I'm also the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Both Joe Tillman, who is the guy on your left, and me are here to really help to guide you in the safest possible directions. Where's Pages? Safest possible direction when it comes to anything and everything hair loss. We're 2 guys who've been dealing with hair loss for a very long time. I started losing my hair around the age of 21 is when I first noticed it. And by the time I was 28, I think, I was lucky enough to find finasteride, but during that 7-year period of time, I was in pure emotional hell. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The reason I am behind this mic, the reason I do what I do, the reason I have been doing this for more than 20 years is because I, like you, am a guy who unfortunately was not equipped to deal with his hair loss. And even at the age of 53, I got it done. I am still, and that was some trick, dude, while I was doing my opening. I was still, at the age of 53, I'm not equipped to completely deal. I am better equipped if things go awry, because I've come to the realization and an acceptance that I will do whatever it takes to maintain, even if it's just a full appearing head of hair, whether that's going in for surgery, whether that's gluing on a hairpiece, whatever it takes, wearing makeup, which I do. That's just the way that I've chosen to live my life, and that is the way that I'm not going to say I'm completely comfortable. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I mean, I'm comfortable enough to talk about it, to expose myself to all of you in a sense, no pun intended, by letting everyone know what my situation is, and by telling the world that I'm a guy who really turned his Achilles heel into his career. Joe Tillman is very much like me, except Joe made some very tragic mistakes early on in his hair loss journey. And let's see if we can pop Joe up. Hey, Joe, what's happening?
Not a whole lot. Just
some clusterfuck trying to get on the air today.
My butt is a bit numb sitting here,
yeah,
waiting for this thing to get off the ground. But I'm surprised. I'm seeing my video feed as well, which we didn't think was going to work. So that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It could be a bad thing, but most people would think it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's working.
And now, like you, I am going back through my online properties and submitting new links for the show.
Terrific.
Seems like it's the numbers are climbing back up, so that's good.
Good.
But yeah, I mean it's a great summary of your experience, and like Spencer said, we are very similar in our mission and a lot of our experiences, but like Spencer said, I made not one but two bad decisions in my early 20s. For those of you that are looking at me and are wondering how long ago that was, yes, that was the early 1990s, before some of our listeners might have even been born, and that really depresses me. But continue to go bald because Propecia as a medication wasn't available. There was Proscar that came out right around my first procedure, or maybe my second procedure, but it was only for the treatment of enlarged prostate issues. And that was about it. There was Rogaine.
That's what I took.
But that was basically useless, and my doctor didn't tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, my doctor didn't tell me about it either. I found out about it myself after reading a
and I was
article.
in a position where I didn't have that kind of I guess well I'll say first off, I didn't have the awareness of my hair loss because I wasn't really that concerned about it to begin with. The only reason why I had 2 hair transplants is because my best friend at the time from high school wanted me to go with him, and the doctor talked me into doing my first hair transplant. Yes, my hair was receding, but it wasn't nearly as much of an issue it was for my friend. But I got sucked into the trap, and 9 years later, I was completely bald except for the vertical, pluggy, massively multi-hair grafts that were making up a very high hairline and nothing else behind it. And that's what led me into my career, where I finally sought some sort of surgical solution because I knew I couldn't shave my head. I had 2 donor scars in the back of my scalp, and I was fine with shaving my head, but the thing that prevented me from doing that were the pluggy grafts that were sticking out, because I knew that after 1 or 2 days of after shaving, they would be sticking up like tree trunks in a field. Right. And I felt that would be more obvious, and that's what prevented me from going down that road. And so got my first repair surgery, and even before I really had been 24 hours out from my first surgery, I knew that the difference was going to be night and day, and that's when my unofficial career in the hair loss industry began, and that was March 18th, 2002, and that's when I first started blogging in near real time, being the first person to really do that, and to give
really long
real-time
story,
updates
dude,
for several years.
That's a lot of words right there.
It was. It was a lot of words, and there's a lot of info to get out. But
I actually just sent a section of an article, just my introduction to an article that I'm writing for the Hair Transplant Forum International. And apparently, and you know what, it makes sense. And I appreciate the commentary, because I want to know before I continue to write this that I may be too verbose. That, that it's a little too wordy.
I think if there's a story to tell in this niche that we work in, then I think being wordy or verbose is necessary. You got to get the
well, here's the thing. When I write a story, when I write an article, when I write a book, the whole thing is, you want to create that narrative, and you also want to paint a picture for the reader so they really can understand what you are trying to illustrate on paper. I think that most technical writers or people who write for medical journals or medical trade papers don't have that. I don't want to say that ability, but they don't have that. I don't even want to say skill set because that's rude. That's just not part of their skill set. Let's put it that way. They're used to just kind of getting out the facts, discussing what they want to get out there as far as a certain technique. Maybe even if they're providing their opinion, it's very brief, usually less than 1,000 words, and it's just kind of like boom, 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 like you're writing a 8th or 9th grade essay,
right? Which
is fine. I read some of the stuff in the forum. It's very well written, well edited, but there's, I guess I presented a little bit of an imagination to what I was writing. I wanted to paint a very specific picture for these physicians so they can get an idea of exactly what my meaning is, besides just hitting them over the head with it and telling them what my meaning was. But I learned, and I'm glad that I learned now, that's not the way to get it done. So I'm going to throw a few paragraphs together. It's going to kill, and everyone's going to be happy.
Make it happen.
That's the good news. Some more good news for all of you guys who are interested in good news from Spencer Kobren is that there is a very strong possibility that I will be coming out with a 3rd edition of The Bald Truth. I'm currently in talks with my publisher. And they are, well, I actually own the rights to the book now, and but the same publisher wants to publish a 3rd edition. So I may make that happen, depending on the green. Mm-hmm. And if all works out, there will be a completely updated edition. But either way, even if I choose to not work with, which is, it's a lot easier to work with a top 4 publishing house than to self-publish, but self-publishing is pretty easy today. In the end, depending on how many books we sell, you can make a lot more money if you self-publish these days. But if it's a company who's willing to get behind you, like Simon & Schuster, and it really depends. Nonfiction's a weird thing. But if they do guarantee that they're going to get behind me, then I will go for it and make that happen.
We should.
So, so there's going to be a lot of great things happening this year. And what's really exciting also, besides that, is we've been doing a lot of chatting about the IHRS FUE meeting in Manchester. Had a great phone conversation with a Manchester physician yesterday, and another great phone conversation from a different Manchester physician today, talking about the conference. And apparently we're having a tremendous impact already. There's a lot of talk about what's happening. There is
I don't doubt it.
A lot of excitement.
This is a potentially big deal. So, I mean, it's grabbing eyeballs, it's grabbing attention, and I'm not surprised at all that there's a lot of talk about it.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of excitement about it, and I say excitement on 2 different levels. Excitement from people like us who are actually excited to help the field and to grow things in a safer direction for consumers. And then there's excitement from those who might not be happy that we are kind of doing something as big as this independently. And I hope that changes because there's so much that we could all do together.
Absolutely.
And my goal is and that's one of the reasons why I'm writing this article for the forum, which is the ISHRS official journal, is to kind of help everyone come together and say, let's put the bureaucracy in the past. Let's move past all of this, nonsense. Let's, practice opportunity costs. Essentially, sometimes you have to relinquish something in order to gain something in return, in order to have a better, more profitable, and I don't just mean financially profitable, but a more beneficial outcome in the long term. And that beneficial outcome will be securing the practices of really ethical hair transplant surgeons who know what they're doing, and securing the opportunity for potential hair transplant patients to have good outcomes. That's the benefit that I see.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone who's listening and all the doctors who are tuning in see this, also get that message from what I'm writing, and we could all come together, big kumbaya moment, and say, you know what, let's make this happen because the industry is falling apart. The phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Hi. It's Steve?
Hey, Steve, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Canada.
Hey, Steve from Canada. What's happening, man?
Fine, thanks. I'm okay. Just a bit nervous.
All right. Joe's always nervous.
Yeah. Let me kind of paint a picture of my hair, and then I'll just go into a few questions.
Okay.
I've got it's pretty bald at the back, and it's really thinned out, and you can really see my scalp now. And with the medication route, I mean, I'm not going to go into the usual stuff, but what I want to talk about is the shedding. So my question is, I've read and heard about this shedding, and if you're already thinning on hair or thinned out on hair, you can't really afford to lose more, and it could be pretty drastic to lose more, especially if it's it comes all of a sudden. I guess what's the situation with someone who is looking to take the medication but is afraid of losing hair in whatever, some sort of process with regards to that medication? That's my question.
That's a real dilemma, and it's a dilemma that all of us have had to deal with. You know, anytime we take action, anytime we try to be proactive when it comes to our hair loss, and we're using something that actually can work, we're risking the possibility of going through an effluvium or a telogen effluvium. Sometimes, depending on when you catch or when you start medication in your hair cycle, if you catch it in a predominantly anagen phase, then there's a good chance you're not going to see a shed right away. And that shed can then be, it could happen 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line. And sometimes it's a protracted shed, meaning that it can last 4 or 5 months. It could last 6 months, depending on the person. But then there are those who take the drug or whatever drug they're using. And, I would say that most people will go through an effluvium with minoxidil. I think it's kind of like almost 50-50 when it comes to finasteride. I don't know if Joe agrees with those odds, but I
more or less. I
had the dread shed about 4 or 5 months into, maybe 6 months into using it. And
but
go ahead.
So, I mean, the thing is, if I had more hair, I would be less worrisome about it. But
sure, no, I understand that. But here's the thing.
Yep.
Hair loss is progressive.
Yep.
So either way, if you exacerbate it by using the drug, you're going to see less hair for a while, but at least you're giving yourself a chance to reverse your miniaturization, regrow that lost hair from the effluvium, and continue to have more success with the drug if it works for you. If you do nothing, you're probably going to go bald. And those are your choices.
Yep. Could you, I keep hearing the term dread shed, and I read about people losing a lot of hair through that period. I mean, are we talking about a significant amount of hair that's lost during this phase?
It can be, yeah.
It's completely variable. I mean, no one can tell you with any sort of certainty how much hair will shed. Can't even tell you if it's actually going to happen to begin with, due to the use of medication. I will say this. I mean, if you Well, let's back up. Let me ask you a few questions before I get into this. How old are you?
I'm in my 40s, early 40s.
Okay. And when did the loss start?
So I had thick hair into my late 20s. And the funny thing is, I never liked it. And then, over time, I felt I was able to comb my hair more, and it kind of occurs to me it was thinning out. I would say I first noticed. See, I'm not one of those people like you see online where they see one hair missing and they think they've lost, they have to kind of jump on the medication, all that stuff. But I'm thinking it was probably in my early 30s.
Okay. And you said that you're losing the back. So is that the only, like your crown, is that the only area where you thinned out, or is it all over?
The crown is really thinned out, and I still have a hairline and all that stuff. It's just I guess you'd call it diffused, like if you want to term it that way. But there's hair all over. There's a big bald patch on the crown with very thin hair, but it's thinned out now where you can really see the scalp under light.
Okay, that's a fairly normal pattern. So or style of hair loss. So next question is, who in your family, like is it on your mother's side or your father's side, or is it both? And who is it that's lost hair and how much?
My father has pretty much lost all his hair. His older brother had all his hair. And my parents' side, they had their hair, like their father, my mother's brother, stuff like that.
Okay, so it's there, but it's not I'd say pervasive throughout your family history. It's just kind of spotty.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So here's the thing. You start taking the medication, and over what time period did you notice this dread shed?
No, I haven't taken the medication. That's why I'm worried.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, no.
Thank God.
He's concerned about the potential of a dread
So
shed.
here's the thing. You're in a position where if you don't take the medication, guess what? You're going to go bald.
Right.
That's So the
wait
question
a second,
is.
Wait a second. Did I hear that like 5 minutes ago from somewhere?
Maybe.
Okay.
But I'm not done.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it's like you're going to go bald, without it. So the question is, do you want to be in a position where you feel like you're exasperating the situation and speeding it up, or do you want to give it a shot and see if you can go through the shed and then see the reversal, which in my experience actually means that you could have a pretty good response from it if you're having a pretty strong response from it, in the initial first few months. So if you do have the dread shed, you could have like a pretty strong turnaround. Now you could also have no turnaround, and it could continue, just slow down to where there's not like a noticeable improvement. But you're going bald anyway, so.
Right, and I guess it's if I wasn't going to take it today, it would be I have to get over the psychological factor first. But
here's the thing: what a lot of guys do who are in your position, even though you say you've already lost a lot of hair, they wait out of fear, and then they wait a year, and they're like, "Shit, I have less hair now," and then they take it and go through a shed, and then they deal with even more issues or more visible issues. So honestly, the earlier into your hair loss that you intervene, the better. And while you've waited quite a long time, if you're going to take this drug, if you don't have any other concerns except for potential effluvium or shedding, then the sooner the better. If you have concerns about other side effects, and I understand why you may not take the drug, and you should definitely talk to your doctor about those concerns. But if that is your only concern, and you are progressively losing your hair, then in order for it to be its most effective, you have to start as early into the process as possible.
Right.
Yeah, and I haven't started early into the process just because I didn't really know about it. That was the thing.
Yeah, but you are still in the midst of the process, So now, if you start today, it's earlier than starting tomorrow.
And do you think, I remember, Joe, you were saying like a 3 times a week kind of thing. Is that a safer way to kind of avoid more shedding, or like if you were?
I think that if you wanted to ease yourself into it, that may lessen the volume of shed that you have, but it also may extend it because you're taking longer to get into it.
Right.
Whereas, it would take you longer to get through that period because you're building up the medication in your system. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but
it does.
I think that it could. I really don't know, because I've not really dealt with this issue on that level where the where patients are kind of gradually building it up in their system. It's usually just because they want to try and avoid any sort of sexual side effects or any of the other side effects. I've not really suggested or heard of people doing this when they're trying to avoid the dread shed. So I really can't answer that.
Okay, a few more questions. So one question is, why do they, is the dread shed accurately named? Like, is it as dreadful as?
Well, I think it's. I mean, any shed when you're dealing with hair loss it's a dreadful feeling. So I mean, it just seemed to, catch on early. And we're talking about even before message forums, before social media, when we had bulletin boards like alt.baldspot. They were talking about the dread shed. Somebody coined that phrase, and it wasn't me. But so I mean, it depends. Some people go through a very minimal effluvium, where they just happen to see maybe twice as much hair than they were losing before. Some people see a complete cessation of hair loss for like 3 or 4 months, and then they go through a relatively mild shed. They just happen to notice that they're losing more hair than they were losing in the previous month. And then some people have handfuls of hair falling out, but that is really not the norm. I would say that's the extreme.
I'd agree.
That's the one I'm worried about, because as much as my hair is thinned out, and I don't even know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I mean, it's not like I wake up with hair on my pillow or hair in my fingers. It's just really thinned out over time.
Look, man, it is a tough call. And when you are in the shower and you're combing and you're washing your hair and you're seeing hair in your hands, it's a frightening situation. And a lot of people who start taking medication and then notice that will automatically panic, as I'd panic too, and say, I got to stop doing this, as opposed to waiting it out, letting the process happen, and and then hopefully recovering. Most people will recover from the shed. And again, Joe and I do not give medical advice. We are not physicians, and this is all based on both of our personal experiences and the experiences of thousands who have contacted us over the years, and hundreds of thousands who have contacted me through this show for the last 20 years.
Okay, so
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll go.
I will say, let me just interject here. There's someone in the chat room named Ron Chuck. He's referring to my statement about you're going to go bald anyway. So he's saying it's not necessarily absolute. He says he stopped Propecia 20 years ago, and with good nutrition managed to keep his hair, and it even got thicker. Both father and mother sides have big hair loss, and that's fine. But that's a whole other discussion where we're talking about nutrition, and it's something I talk about quite a bit on my channel and on my website, where I do believe that nutrition can play a part in this, especially if your regular food intake consists of a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugars, and really just not healthy food. I mean, if you can, and I don't know what your routine would be, Steve. It's Steve, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know how you eat, but assuming that you have a reasonable nutritional intake, I don't know if that would make a huge difference. I mean, if you drink a lot of soda and eat a lot of pizza, then that could be a problem. But ultimately, the medication or the reason for this is from DHT affecting the hair's genetically predisposition to be affected by DHT. So, there is something to it, but if you turn around your hair loss, I'd be surprised because
Well,
I think
I'll tell you,
there's something to it, but I don't think it's across the board.
Yeah, and I would say that I agree with the person in the chat that there's nothing that's absolute. I have known guys who have seemed to progress relatively rapidly, like within a 5-year period, and then just stop.
Yeah.
And kind of hold on to that hairline and to that amount of hair for another 2 decades without making any changes in their lifestyle.
So let me end about the food stuff. I mean, that's all great, but I mean, I've been eating pretty healthy as it is, and I mean, I'm at a point where I want to start eating junk food because I'm like, it's not really, stopping it to the extent you need it to.
Well, you're better off, in general, you're better off not eating junk food.
Yeah, I know.
And Joe's battery is just exhausted, so I'm going to put the camera on me. But I would say, listen, here's if your biggest fear of this drug is the shed, then you're in a good position. Now, I'm not saying that shed is a great thing, and I'm not saying that you're going to feel comfortable in your own skin if you all of a sudden have half the head of hair that you have now in 2 months. But if that is really your only concern, that's what's stopping you from taking the drug. I would say Joe is probably pretty accurate. I'd say my assessment is pretty accurate. Again, we're both not doctors. There's a pretty strong chance that your hair loss will progress if you don't intervene in some respect. And the person in the chat room is not incorrect. There are no absolutes, and I do believe, and I wrote an entire chapter on nutrition in the original The Bald Truth, and I certainly believe in dietary changes when it comes to hair loss. But you know what? Androgenetic alopecia is named androgenetic alopecia because it's a combination of androgens and genes. And if you have strong genes for hair loss, I don't believe anything that you can do dietarily is going to completely halt that process.
Agreed.
It may improve it greatly. It may slow it down for years. Joe's right. Joe's right. I mean, it's possible that eating poorly could exacerbate the situation or hasten your hair loss. But as far as just stopping hair loss naturally, listen, there's everybody out there trying to sell some ebook or who's trying to sell some nutritional supplement and giving you guidance online to tell you how to stop your hair loss naturally just with diet. And I'm not going to say there aren't people in this world who have been able to accomplish that, but it is certainly not the norm.
Right, and I agree with that. I'll go into my final kind of round of questions here. It's a small.
Finally.
I mean, yeah.
Just kidding.
Thank you. So here's the thing, and maybe you can help me strategize this or give me some food for thoughts. I can start on the medication, and then I go into a transplant, gain the density that I need, and then go on the medication to minimize the loss of hair and having it kind of freak me out.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
You have a greater chance of losing hair from your hair transplant than from using finasteride.
No, I mean, like I wait a year basically, and then start the medication after that, after the transplant.
Right, but what's the point? I mean, if you excuse me, you have a greater chance of shock loss from the transplant. So that year is still going to be a year of hell for you, except you're going to have possible surgical complications alongside having less hair in your head.
Okay, I get that. If I was to, so right now, I'll make this my last question. I have thinned out hair. There's hair on most of my head except the back, but when I've gone to doctors, they're like, no problem, we'll get in there and fill it up. But then, I've heard about this shock loss. Should they be so kind of,
What else are they going to tell you? Of course they're going to tell you, we'll just get in there and fill it up.
Right.
That's their job.
That's their
business,
business,
they want to get you in the chair.
Yeah.
Look, I want to go back to your previous thing before we get into that. The idea of taking Propecia a year after you have a hair transplant, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going to happen? What are you going to do about the hair that you lose because you're not on the medication between the time you have your surgery and the time you decide to have your transplant? Go back and have another surgery? Because that's what you probably wind up having to do.
Yeah.
And I understand your logic, but it's flipped the wrong way. The logic should be get on the medication now.
Yeah.
Right.
Give it a year, see how you respond. If you wind up having a positive response, then
you may not even need a hair
among other things, that reduces the amount of hair that needs to be transplanted to fill the area.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one point. But you also may not decide that you want surgery, and how great would that be? Save you $15,000 or whatever it would cost, right?
Yeah.
Get on the medication first, because if you get a hair transplant and then you try the medication a year later, and you wind up having that big dread shed that you're reading about, and it doesn't come back, you just fucked yourself. Because then you need more surgery and then more surgery because the medication's not working for you, and you get stuck in the trap.
Listen, man, excuse me. Surgery is a last resort.
Absolutely.
Period. Every doctor that is a member of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons makes an agreement to support what we do and to support our message. And part of that message is, and one of the reasons is, they're not just on there because they are some of the best doctors in the world. They're on there because they support our message of, you know what, do whatever you can. Exhaust all of your options before you consider surgery. Because surgery is always going to be there. And dude, once you're cut, you're cut. There is no turning back. So wouldn't you feel better if you took the medication, oh shit, my hair fell out, now I need a transplant, as opposed to the other way around?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to kind of mull it over, but that makes sense. I didn't think about it that way.
There's nothing, I have to tell you, I'm going to be very candid, there's nothing to mull over. If you choose to have a transplant before you go on finasteride, in my view, you're an idiot. That is a bad move. That will potentially put you in a much worse situation than you could ever have imagined.
You think you're stressing out now? You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm telling you. Been there, done that. Like, I had 2 hair transplants, wasn't taking medication, and within just about 2 years later, I was a Norwood 5. And I went on to beyond a Norwood 6, but the transplants were still there and looking really ugly. So take it from me, you don't want to do that. In fact, I would even have you consider just shaving your head and forgetting about the whole thing. Medication, surgery, the whole 9 yards. Just toss it. See how you look with a shaved head. If you try it and you like it, you just saved yourself a potential lifeline or lifetime of anxiety.
I gotta tell you, after today's Frisbee style I got going on, I'm considering shaving my head. I cannot. It was like,
does it, I'll do it.
It was, I'm telling you, man, just, I had a very busy morning and a good morning. Like I said, I have a lot of tremendous opportunities coming our way. The ball truth is getting bigger than ever. When a publisher after 20 years is like, look, it is time to, even though I bought the rights to my own book back, which is a whole other thing. So if you're in the world of publishing, you know how many books you have to sell to be able to do that. But when an editor comes to me and says, this book is still selling, we need to update it, and they are willing to make me another offer, that is good news. And that's good news for hair loss sufferers. And that's good news for what we're doing here on the show. So I had a really good day, except I had to rush to get ready to do the show, and then we couldn't get the fucking thing on the air. So my hair looks like a burrito on the top of my head. I don't know what's going on today.
You know what? It's still looking good.
Thank you, man. You're very kind. Everyone's very kind to me, except
I mean it. You guys have you've really an inspiration with regards to how you've kind of spent. And Joe, like I've seen some of the pictures, your previous pictures, and are you an anomaly, or is that something that a lot of people can achieve. Like you went from something that was, I mean, I wouldn't think there would, I don't see even how you got to this point.
You can say it. It was an utter disaster.
It was, yeah. It was a disaster.
He was one of the walking wounded. He should be a complete mental case at this point in his life.
Who says I'm not?
Well, I think we all are, actually, to some degree.
No, the reality is that I am an anomaly only because I was a repair case, 2 strip scars, and I'd already had the equivalent of like 2,000 grafts moved. This is what my doctor and I kind of figured out. I'm an anomaly because after every procedure I had, my laxity would return, and Dr. Wong was able to go back in and take more. He used to call me a mutant.
Dude, the back of this guy's head looks like a Shar-Pei.
The reality is that, guys with aggressive hair loss, they can get great results. Like mine, I mean, maybe the coverage, I guess, I don't know. But some great results can be had with far fewer procedures. But there's also something to be said about taking smaller steps, not going for 5,000 grafts, 6,000 grafts in one pop. I didn't. None of my surgeries were more than 2,500 grafts.
You know what kills me? Every time there's a doctor, like I had a few guys here in studio, and they're really, because I'm under some heavy lights here, they're checking in my donor. They are salivating.
Yeah.
And I am like, you are not fucking coming near me, man. There is no way in hell that I'm having a hair transplant. Because I know what the possible downside is. If I lose this, then absolutely, that's going to happen. But for the back of my head, even though, everyone, I mean, some of the best doctors in the world, they will sit in the studio and tell me it's unlikely you're going to progress much further. You're already 53 years old. I don't buy that. I want to keep that hair in the bank. So for you to even be considering a transplant at your stage, when you still haven't even started medication, it's ludicrous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's where I just needed to be educated, because I guess you see the theory, well, the strategy I was thinking of. You have more hair now, so if you start shedding hair and then you grow it back, at least it won't be as noticeable. But I guess you're not kind of that doesn't really seem to be an effective way to go about it.
I'm sorry, repeat yourself. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, so I mean, the strategy behind the...
What? You're laughing, but I'm being honest with the guy. I was doing something else.
I love the honesty, though. It's great. Yeah. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, that's okay. Do you want me to repeat it, or
yes.
are you just kind
of... Yeah,
please.
Please.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I see what you're saying, and I needed to kind of hear this just because I didn't think of this, but the strategy was if you gained more hair, the loss of hair during that period where it falls out and grows back stronger would be less visible.
Well, I understand that strategy, but also realize that in general, transplanted hair can grow slightly different than your native hair. Yeah. It may not be as robust as your native hair. Having the transplant itself could end up throwing you into a massive effluvium.
Yeah.
So you're going to be dealing with the healing process, first of all, the surgery process, the healing process, the ugly duckling process, and all in hopes that if you do take Propecia one day, that you're going to have more volume of hair if you happen to lose hair from a shed.
Yep.
It's completely backwards thinking.
Yeah, I see your point.
You're better off if you choose to take this drug, and again, we're not doctors and we're not pushing it, but if you choose to take this drug, you're better off giving it a shot first and seeing what happens. You may be one of the guys, like I've had my friend, my best friend, the kid I grew up with since I was 10 years old, he never went through a shed.
Yeah.
Never went through a shed. You know what he did? He's 53 years old, and he has basically a full head of hair with a little bit of a bald spot that he doesn't even paint because he doesn't give a shit. He's like 6'2".
Right.
But when you see him straight on, this is an older dude. He doesn't even have any gray hair, this guy, a little bit. An older dude with a full head of hair. He started losing his hair noticeably at about the age of 30. So, there are plenty of people that use this drug, and just because you don't have a shed also doesn't indicate that you're not going to have good results. Some people just don't go through the shed.
Okay.
So you may be one of those guys. You may take this pill and call us back in 6 months and say, holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever done. I grew my hair back. I wake up with a silo in my pants every morning. And all is well. Try to think about that possibility.
I will.
As opposed to all the negative shit.
Yeah, I will. As I cry myself to sleep tonight.
That was good. That was good timing. Man.
That was good. That was good.
That was good timing.
Right.
Listen, I cry myself to sleep almost every night, but usually there's a bottle involved.
I just like my thumb.
All right, dude. Listen, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm glad you called. Your thought process, while I kind of understand it, is really flawed. So just baby steps. Surgery's a last resort.
And I'm realizing that.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you got it. Take care.
All right. Thanks for calling, Steve.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. What Norwood scale was I? I was a 5A. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Good. You saw that.
That is
I
a complete joke.
Just interject real quick and say thank you to Belly Capelli Forum. They are in the chat room right now, or they were. It is the newest forum or website that is supporting our message and allowing us to embed this live stream to share with their audience, which is primarily Italian and European in general, but they're one of the biggest forums in Europe, and they support us. So just want to say thank you to Belly Capelli Forum before we continue.
First of all, I don't know if he wants his name out there, so I'm not going to put it out there. But
no,
I only met him once, and he was probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in this industry.
And
let me tell you something. That says a lot. Well, maybe it doesn't, because there's not a lot of nice guys in this industry.
That's why I didn't go through with it.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't say a lot. Maybe he's just normal. He's a normal dude,
He's a normal dude. Yeah. I've known him for, I think, 12 years, maybe 13 years, and I can easily reinforce what you just said.
And he's got an attractive wife. Her hair is unbelievable.
Love him to death. Great guy.
His wife's hair is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Nice lady. They're really, really good people. I really do. I appreciate, good people willing to work together, who are, not working, living this fear-based, fucked up forum world that sadly we have all kind of come up in. Because the majority of the forum owners really, everyone was at each other's throat from the beginning.
Which is really bizarre.
And I didn't even have a forum. That was crazy. And they were on my ass.
So what'd you do?
Well,
you started a forum.
When I started a forum, the one guy actually went to this guy's wedding. He stopped being my friend. Gave this guy a huge present, and I'm sure he's listening. He knows it was a nice gift.
Well, you think it was. Apparently he didn't.
Helped him out a lot.
Did you think of that?
Helped him out a lot in life. Yeah, well, I never thought of that. And then, boom. Didn't want to be my friend anymore. All of a sudden, I'm his competition. I'm the bad guy. And I actually invited him on. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you start a page on the forum, and you could promote yourself, just like I did with Brian. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. I guess I can say that.
Well, you can say that name, but you can't associate it with anything specific.
Right.
So now people have to guess.
And he was just like, all right, let's make this happen. So the anonymous person from Belly Capelli, I can't pronounce that correctly, Belly Capelli.
Belly Capelli.
Anytime you, obviously, we're an English-speaking forum, but you are always welcome to come on the forum. You're always welcome to post in the forum. You're always welcome to link or whatever you want to do on Bald Truth Talk. That's what we should all be doing.
Even welcome to call in.
Oh, love you to call in. Always. And if you ever want to be on the show yourself, besides calling in, if you want to be on camera to talk about your experiences, to talk about your message forum, to talk about what you do in the industry, you're welcome to do so. Love to have you. Phone number is 888-659-3727. I was going to play that. Now let's all stop sucking our dicks. What is that?
Let's not start sucking each other's dicks just yet.
Yeah. I can't. I just don't know the number of it. Guys, we have a couple of
Follicle Friday.
Yeah, but let me give out the phone number because we do have a couple of open lines. So let's fill them up. That's why we're here. It's 888-659-3727. And, of course, you guys can call the UK line, which is 0203 3724683. And let me get to the Norwood scale. I was kind of a unique on the Norwood scale because I didn't really have what I would consider to be an accurate classification. I was classified by a few people as a Norwood 3. The problem was I had vertex loss, and my hairline was more of a 2. You young guys would say maybe 2.5, but with vertex, visible vertex loss. So my hairline has definitely gone up a little bit since I started. I mean, as you guys can see, but it wasn't to the point where it was incredibly noticeable to the average person, but you know, my friends were starting to poke fun at me. I definitely saw a bald spot growing, and my hairline had gone past the maturing point. I started to notice that it was miniaturizing. So finasteride completely reversed that. I mean, I had no bald spot for at least a decade on that drug. Sadly to say, the bald spot is back, but it's still not what it was. So
it's a good run.
So if you think about this, I've been on this drug since I was 28 years old, and I am now 53 and a quarter.
Is that 25 years? Yeah.
Don't make me do math.
Yeah, I hate that. David Miller asked me, how long is my hair on top? It is this long in the front.
I can't do mine because mine's sprayed together. Mine is about this long. You can't even see how it's about that long. When the wind blows, it's like this whole type of thing.
Okay. And what do I use to hold my fabulous quiff? I use Pai Shao, which is it's in some of my videos, but I got some bad news. They have shut down operations, which is really, really bad news for me because I love their stuff, their shampoos, their spray, everything. But I'm on the search for a new one. With that said,
by the way, I look like one of the guys on the walls on the barbershop in like 1978, dude. I appreciate the compliment though, but I'm one of those guys. I just need the sideburns. You ever see those high school pictures of guys in the 70s? We were fucking ridiculous. Well, you weren't even around. I mean, you were a real young kid.
I was a ridiculous looking kid wearing the corduroy jacket with bell bottom pants.
Well,
and the bell bottom pants might have been corduroy as well.
I actually had an American flag bell bottom pants.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'd pay money to see that.
And let me tell you something. As soon as I got a bulge, everything changed. That changed my life wearing those pants.
Right.
I was I was a late bloomer, so I was just like all of a sudden, boom, something happened.
Sound is getting some compression.
Right now?
But right now, it's okay, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. All right, guys. Well, why don't you hold on because I know Joe wants to do Follicle Friday. So the phone number, there's actually one line open if you guys want to try to get in. All the other lines are lit. It's 326. Oh my God, that would have really fucked up. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Give us a call.
Well done.
Jesus.
All right, so Follicle Friday. Now this is kind of an odd one because it was posted on Monday, and this is after, I think, the 2 previous Fridays there were no Follicle Fridays. So today's Follicle Friday from the ISHRS.
I think you fucked them up with the Follicle Fridays, though.
I guess so. I don't know.
You somehow embarrassed
them. We need to keep it going. So here it is. Adult stem cells are responsible for hair production. Follicle Friday.
Yeah, listen, the ISHRS has hired a masterful social media expert. And now here's the thing, you know what? And that's actually very critical because I got to tell you, this is a really difficult industry to understand. You cannot hire somebody outside of this industry to do your social media because no one understands the field.
Absolutely. I mean, I've worked with some clinics that have hired outside firms, and they ask me to kind of oversee the people that they hired in those efforts, and they'll send me things that they're writing, and I'm just kind of shaking my head, like you have no concept of the material that you're writing about. Which, I mean, you can't blame them because you can't just like take on this subject and be expected to write something that has any sort of meaning to it.
Look,
but if you've been doing it for a while and someone's
nuanced.
overseeing what you're doing,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a problem.
That's true.
So when I see stuff like this, it tells me that there's no one at the wheel. There's no one overseeing this stuff.
Well, the people that are overseeing it they don't really understand the industry itself. The people that oversee the administrators of this organization are good administrators. They are great at putting conferences together. That's what they do. They're great at all of the bureaucratic aspects of running an organization like that. But I can guarantee you that if I put these people, and especially this one person, in a room, sat them down and asked them very specific questions about hair loss and about surgical hair restoration, they would not be able to answer these questions. And I'm talking about some pretty basic stuff that you would find on message forums.
Yeah.
Like,
it's pretty amazing.
We should do that. We should have an exam ready and say, I'll tell you what, you guys think you know it all? Here's a first grade level test in hair restoration. Let's see if you can pass it.
I'd do it.
I guarantee you they wouldn't be able to pass it. Now, on a personal level, I couldn't pass a GED at this point in my life. But I know everything there is to know about this industry.
But you wouldn't be expected to or required to. That's the thing.
That's true. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Yeah, this is Mohammed from Jersey. How are you?
Hey, Mohammed. How are you?
Hey, buddy. You called before, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. So I don't really have exactly questions for you, but this is more of like a rant. So yeah, I called a few weeks ago about I started the minoxidil finasteride blend about like 3 months ago or so. So I'm really just like waiting for that to see, what I started that in the crown, and I'm kind of moving towards like the frontal area. But just I just wanted to like overall give you, my situation. So I've always had like thick curly hair, and like balding is in my family. So like my mom's brothers, and not really my dad, but my mom's brothers, they've experienced hair loss. And a lot of them are bald now, like in their 40s and stuff. And so about 3 years ago, like I started experiencing a lot of shedding, like hair loss. And I remember like the exact month, like it was October. And ever since then, in my situation, like it's just always been constant. So I looked this up a lot, like on forums, and usually the forums I see about shedding, they're always linked to like somebody starting a medication, and then their shedding kind of like slows down. But for me, like I've just felt like my phase has always been like consistent, like even like right now, and like I've never before this happened, like I never used to notice any shedding, like, you know, growing up or in college, like, but you know, now, like, you know, showering, I'll have hairs. If I style it after shower, I'll have hairs like on my fingers, and it's like a daily basis thing. Like, there's hairs on my desk, like my bed, and like so much so that like now I just hate the thought of like I shower every day, but I just hate the thought of going to shower because I'm gonna see like the strands on my, and just that anxiety. And I'm actually like Muslim, so we pray like 5 times a day, and part of that is we actually have to like cleanse ourselves before prayer, like wash your face, arms, and we actually wipe water over our scalp. And so even now, like the past years, every time I do that, like that part of the ritual, like I'll have like 4 or 5 strands on my hand, and like this never used to happen.
So let me ask you though, I mean, you don't avoid that part of the ritual?
I mean, like I don't go deep.
Come
into,
on, you could be honest with us.
Come on.
I mean, like some people go. Some people kind of like massage their scalp, but I just slightly just like touch it.
What are you supposed to do?
So before we pray, you kind of just you kind of rinse your mouth, you wash your face.
All right, so you basically just look around and kind of make believe you're doing a little something on your head, and then move on to the next step.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of like a shower, like kind of like showering, but not really. It's more of just like and you brush your teeth.
But you know why I say this? Because I understand. If I was, if I was, a practicing Muslim, and I was dealing with hair loss, I am so sick that I know it's possible that I would just like look around to make sure no one's watching and not do the head part.
Right.
You know? So I totally get what you're saying, and I understand the anxiety of showering every day and seeing your hair on the pillow. And, I have known guys who, and women who just refuse to take a shower, or they shower in the dark. And they don't want to look at themselves in the mirror after they come out of the shower. They will just take the hair out of their hands, maybe put it on the shower wall, wipe it off, and just throw it into the toilet before they, could even see it, because they don't want to see that visual every day. I mean, some people have so many rituals. I used to take my hair for years before I started finasteride, and actually I used to keep plastic bags. I had a Sharpie. And I would count the hairs, put them in plastic bags with the date and the number of hairs.
Wow.
All right? So you're not so bad, dude.
But yeah, so like my wife, like I'm 28, and my wife thinks like just the more I stress about it, like the more it's gonna, like I rant this to her like every day, and so she thinks that the more I stress about it, it's gonna make it worse, and like she personally could care less about hair. Like she doesn't care about hair at all. But yeah, I've used like laser cap for about 3 years, and to be honest, like it hasn't done anything in terms of shedding. But I just have that anxiety, like what if I stop using it? Like what if like it was maintaining at least some hair? And so
that's a very real issue to consider. But let me ask you this: when you do wash your hair, like actually shower using shampoo, how vigorous are you with your washing, or do you just kind of like barely touch it and pat it because you're afraid of inducing more shedding?
That's a good The times where I'm just like really upset, like I kind of avoid the vigorous, like going deep into the scalp because of like the anxiety. But otherwise, I definitely don't do it as much as hard. Like I don't go very deep as I used to be, like before I started experiencing the shedding, just because of that reason that you just said.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, that is one of the worst things that you can do, and the reason why is because If you are just, really being careful with your hair, then the issue that you're experiencing now, which is you're seeing a few hairs here, you're seeing a few hairs there, that's going to do nothing but continue and potentially get worse, because your hair shedding is a natural part of the hair growth cycle. You've got the anagen, active state of growing. You have the catagen, where the follicle separates from its blood supply. You have the telogen, where the hair the hair shaft falls out, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing several of those on your hands, like I said, styling your hair, or when you're touching, whatever. And washing your hair on a regular basis vigorously knocks those telogen hairs out, so that you don't, so that they don't just kind of fall out, throughout the day, making you lose your mind. I mean, that's I've seen this happen many times, and it's usually with guys like you that are afraid to touch their hair or afraid to be vigorous. So I would recommend that at least a few times a week. I don't know how often you actually shower, but if you do this at least a few times a week, wash your hair vigorously. Use a good shampoo of some sort, and really lather that up. Get your fingertips in there, massage the scalp, vigorously wash your scalp, and knock those hairs out. I can almost promise you, that you will see a reduction of your shedding throughout the day after that.
All right, I hope so.
Okay?
Yeah.
And just so you know, if you're trying to baby your hair, that's not going to prevent your hair from falling out any more than it already is. What's happening is, because you're just babying your hair, it's not being knocked out and falling out like it's supposed to. It's already separated from the blood supply. It's already sitting there in the skin tissue doing absolutely nothing. So you're actually encouraging the process of development and progress by knocking them out and from being vigorous with your shampooing.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I actually when I started experiencing like the hair loss, like a couple of years ago, I actually went to Dr. Doran, and he was really on it. Like it was a really nice consultation. He was straight. Like my impression was that I'll just have hair transplant and whatever. Like I didn't know much that time. And he straight up said, like, I would never touch, I would not touch your hair for a hair transplant.
And that's a great thing. Look, I know Dr. Doran. I don't know him that well, but I know him, and I don't work with him or his clinic, but I can tell you right now that was a stand-up thing to do. And you were ripe for the picking. He could have taken you, sat you down, sold you a hair transplant because that's what you wanted, and he could have taken your money, and he didn't.
Right.
So that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, because I still, like, if I ask my friends, like, they won't notice that I'm balding or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because thankfully I still have a quite amount of hair, like, on my head. But now knowing, like, listening to you guys, like, that's something I want to put off. Like, I definitely want to put off and, like, not think about. So I just really want this, like, hair, the shedding, all this stuff to, like, stop. So, I'm really hoping that, like, I'm going to give it a few more months and, like, consult with Dr. Wesley again regarding, like, my the topical finasteride I'm using. And then also, like, kind of cut, and this is from your advice previously, like, limit sugar and, like, see what happens, and, like, low-carb diet and stuff. So,
well, not so much low-carb, just kind of, don't overdo it. Don't sit around and eat chips all day, and, don't have a dinner where 50% of your meal is mashed potatoes, But right. I think ultimately just, give it more time, like you said, but don't be afraid to wash your hair. Like, I mean, that's important. I can't stress that enough. And I'm positive that you start being, more, I'll say, aggressive with your hair washing, you'll notice a reduction in shedding overall. You won't notice as many hairs because right. I'm confident that you've just got a bunch of them stuck in your scalp that have already entered telogen, but they haven't shed because you're babying them too much. So keep that in mind, try it, and give us an update in another, say, month or two. See what's going on.
Right. And I have a question for you. Like, when you guys started experiencing hair loss, like, and you started, Like, did you guys have a similar shedding type of experience? Or,
I did.
I didn't. I wasn't. I've said this before in the broadcast. I wasn't looking to get like anything done for my hair. I mean, me and my buddy were talking about it one time, and you know, I did notice, but it wasn't like this thing that I would notice all the time. Like, I did notice hair, but I wasn't losing my mind over it. And I was, if it wasn't for my best friend, I probably would have gone bald gracefully, whatever the hell that means, and been a head shaver.
Well, I was shedding, and I was flipping out about it, and I was miserable about it, and every strand that I saw gave me anxiety, and there were times I would comb my hair after a shower, and it was just like, it looked like there's a massacre in the sink.
Right.
So I was one of those dudes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you started finasteride, you felt a reduction in shedding, like after how many months?
Absolutely. Within 3 months, it was significant. I mean, it basically stopped.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, awesome. I have one last question. Like,
holy
my God! Wow.
Go ahead. Go ahead, dude.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one last question. Is there any I want to use like a nice like natural like a hairspray that doesn't have like harmful chemicals and stuff, but
they don't work, dude.
Like,
they all do.
My
yeah.
hair.
I actually have a respirator that I use when I spray my hair, because I've tried every natural hairspray known to man, and they make your hair look incredibly tacky, very difficult. You can't really comb through it. All the good hairsprays that are going to make your hair at least look good and not too oversprayed are going to have harmful chemicals. So deal with it. It's very possible. Look, I smoked for years of my life when I was a younger person. I lived through 9/11, and I think out of all those things that I did to my lungs, that happened to my lungs, hairspray may be the worst offender of everything. So I actually do. I for the last few years, and I've shown it on the air, I wear a respirator, the kind that you buy in Home Depot with the pink filters to spray my hair. That's how fucking insane I am.
Oh, wow.
So if you're concerned about chemicals, just wear a respirator when you spray your hair and live your life.
I see.
You sound so bummed out. It's not, dude. It's not like I'm telling you to. It's not permanently attached to your face or anything. You just hold it over your face. You spray your hair.
You can take it off after you're done spraying.
Yeah,
that's something you need to understand.
Yeah, it's not permanent.
Right now I use emu oil, like
yeah. Don't waste your time. Oils, lotion, no, just don't waste your time. You might be putting too much stuff on your head. Just so you know, just use your topical finasteride and call us back in a month or two. That's all you need to do. And wash your hair vigorously.
All right, dude. Listen, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for calling, and hang in there, man. Just, I think take Joe's advice. Wash your hair on the regular, and you'll notice less shedding.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks for calling, Mohammed.
Bye-bye. 888-659-3727. I don't know why that respirator thing always throws people off so much.
You had to go with a 9/11 reference, didn't you?
What did I say?
You had to bring up 9/11.
I was in 9/11. I was there.
You had to bring that up for Muhammad.
Oh, so because Muhammad is Muslim, I can't talk about my experience in 9/11.
It's like what's up with that, man?
Jesus. Anyway, phone number is 888-659-3727. We started a little late today, actually very late. So, Joe, if you have some time, we can hang out for a few more phone calls if you guys want to call in. Right now, though, lines are empty.
Lines are empty.
So call us, 888-659, Jesus, 3727, and we'll take your phone calls if you have any questions or concerns. If those lines don't light up, we leave. End of the day, we are done. Cut the show short, move on, and do some stuff for our lives. So
and after working on this for an hour, that would be really a shame if we had to go after only 1 hour on the air.
I'd be a little disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got stuff to do, but I'd rather hang out here. I mean, we got a good audience going on. Belly Capelli Forum is answering questions and interacting with people in the chat room, which is awesome. But yeah, it'd be nice to get some calls.
I got to tell you though, today, guys, was a good. Besides the hair, it was a good fucking day, and it's Friday. I am ready to go out and just have some fun and get some food and enjoy the fruits of my labor. So I don't give a shit if you call or not.
You know what I got done today?
What?
Sweet fuck all.
Well, that's okay.
Not a damn thing.
That's all right.
So that's why I don't want to leave the show.
I am getting
this is
closer to my retirement as we speak. Actually, the problem is I'm not going to retire. That's the reality of it. Because if I leave this thing, first of all, I don't trust you to do this by yourself.
Thanks. See, I knew there's a setup in there.
Secondly, I'm telling you, the industry would be so fucked up. It is so, dude. What's going on now is absolutely insane. It is so fucking crazy and perverse.
No one could ever have any idea. Like anyone on the outside stepping in today, if you were to lay it out, the Cliff Notes for them, they turn around and leave.
Oh, I have conversations with a buddy of mine, and he's just like, the whole thing, like, I mean, that's the word. It's fucking perverse. What's going on?
Perverse, twisted.
What's happening to these poor guys, and the misinformation that's online as far as what hair transplantation is about. That it's an easy outpatient procedure. That even the good guys I see, I'm looking at their websites, they all look the same now. It's all about new developments in technology, modern, state-of-the-art hair transplantation, all based on these machine-driven, commercialized products. It's fucking bullshit.
Absolutely.
Hair transplantation is all about a very specific skill set that needs to be learned. No matter what device you use, unless you're using a fucking 2mm punch, if you're using anything that is within a normal size range for FUE, and if you're using a single-bladed knife and you have microscopes and the right technicians and the right skill set to do FUT, that's what it takes. There's no fucking magic miracle machines out there.
It takes experience, but it also takes an understanding of what the right thing to do is to make something look natural. You got to understand the hair angles, hair direction, the type of graft to go into a specific area of the scalp. I mean, there's so many nuances to this.
The good grafts, the bad grafts. I mean, the reality is, seeing grafts. I mean, I think I actually see John Cole in the room. There are dangerous grafts that people, even technicians, they have no idea that there are certain grafts that contain hairs that are essentially invisible to the naked eye. Now, if magnification isn't used, and if people don't know what to look for, if the hair is sitting at a different angle, that hair can then be placed into a frontal hairline, and will enter that graft, and you can end up sprouting 2 or 3 hairs out of a graft that looks like it has 1 hair in it. And if people don't understand those nuances, this is why we're seeing so many fuck-ups out there. That's one of the reasons why.
If you explain that single point to, I'd say, a room full of technicians and doctors that are doing this procedure today, they look at you like you're explaining rocket science. They would have no idea what you just said. Like, dude, you just made it up. Dude. Like, no, it's just moving hair.
Dude, trying to get the show on the air today was like trying to explain how to split the atom.
That was the same thing.
Let's take a call.
That was rocket science.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello, it's Warren. How you doing?
Hey, Warren from Hawaii. How are you, man?
RoboCop.
I'm trying to stay dry with the topic, man.
I was going to say, man, that I don't know if topic can hold up to 40 inches of rain.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough, man. I mean, it might. For a while, if you use the accompanying spray or whatever hairspray that you use with it, but that's a tough call, man. Dermatch works better in the rain, in my view, or that type of a compact makeup product works better. Like when you're swimming and stuff.
Oh yeah, Dermatch works better in the rain. The only thing is my crown is kind of bare, that area, so that the topic gives that volume look,
Oh, dude,
so the Dermatch, I can't really do it. Yeah.
I literally look like from the side that I have a slope. Now I have enough hair where the Dermatch covers, and it looks pretty good. I do a good cover-up job, but you could actually see the slope because the center is pretty full. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
If I would,
you know what sucks is I'm working on this comparison of different concealers, and yes, Warren, it'll be done soon. I'm hoping this weekend, fingers crossed. It's like I'm starting to get a little hooked again on these damn concealers.
He was telling. It's like he picked up cigarettes again. He was telling me.
I'm telling you. Yeah. It's like I wash my hair and camera's rolling. I'm putting this stuff in again. And I'm looking at it, I'm styling it and like setting it up in the like on camera, but I'm watching it in the mirror because I'm doing this, I'm recording the whole thing, and then I go out and I'm like using my overhead cameras and my drone and all this stuff. I look at the results. I'm like, damn, that looks pretty damn good. And I'm noticing like today I didn't use it. I've not gone anywhere. I've not left the house today, and
he's having a panic attack.
I can feel it. I don't have it. It's like it's the same feeling I used to have 20 some odd years ago when I was using Good Looking Hair, the GLH in a can, the spray. And that's not a good feeling.
You see, I don't mind that feeling. To me, it's not such a big deal unless you are, if you're in a situation where you go away, you're on vacation, whatever it is, and you forgot your shit, that could be a bad feeling. But I actually, and this is how crazy I am, if I travel alone, I have several travel derm matches in different areas I have like one in my laptop bag, one in my suitcase, and the guy who pats me down always finds one in my sock. I'm just kidding. I don't put one in my sock. But I definitely carry a couple just in case. I don't want to be without it. Now, I can certainly get away with not having it because I'm not like a short dude or anything. I'm tall enough. I'm not super tall. I'm like 6 feet tall. And, so it's, on average, I'm as tall or taller than most people. So it's not the end of the world when I don't have it on. But still, I feel it. I definitely feel it. And like when I go to a conference or whatever it is, part of me is like, maybe I shouldn't wear it because there are people out there who don't think I have a lot of hair loss because I'm wearing it. And they're always trying to figure it out. Like I remember I met the guy from Hair Loss Experiences. It was as though his eyes were burning through my scalp.
I know that feeling. It's like every time I go to a conference, it's like you can feel the eyeballs.
Well, when you first came to the compound,
even the ones that aren't doing so because they hate you.
When you first came to the compound, you had this smile on your face. You're like, and you're looking at my hair. The whole thing, I was like, Jesus, you want me to turn around for you? What do you want me to do?
For me, with the concealers, I kind of one part of me kind of wishes I didn't start using them, but I kind of had to in a way because, my results came out great, like you guys showed on air and everything, but I still have that little bigger than I'd say maybe about a little smaller than a baseball, almost baseball size crown baldness, but it's starting to look like it's closing up a little bit, but it kind of looks funny where it looks great in the front and it's got that big crown in the back open. If I didn't put it in from the start, it would have looked okay. But it's like if I stop using it, everybody's going to be like, "Hey, what the hell happened, man? To your hair transplant."
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. You see a lot of stuff like with celebrity hair transplants. some of these football, and yeah, it's funny. It makes sense that they call soccer football everywhere else in the world because you're kicking the goddamn ball. That makes sense to me. But you see these football players, and they have them in the tabloids without their concealer on, and all of a sudden they're doing stories claiming that all of a sudden this
failed
person
hair transplant.
has a failed hair transplant, and there's just so much misinformation out there. So I absolutely understand. I'm a huge fan of concealers. I think that if you could use a concealer and get away with it without having surgery, then you win. Who's trying to call me now? They know I'm doing a show. Jesus.
Yeah. Not really. We're supposed to be done by 4.
That's true.
So maybe not.
That's true. But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I totally get the concealer thing. I think they are some of the greatest products in the industry, and people do. A lot of people do not take advantage of them.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't mind. I like we all came to the conclusion. I pretty much won, and I was pretty much bald as F, and I came back with my hairline, and the front got restored good enough. It's just that to complete the illusion, when I throw in that topic, I'm good to go, and I feel great, and it looks great, and it works. It's just when there's days like this, it's kind of like, shit, I feel like a little bitch teenage girl worrying about my hair getting wet. You're like, ah!
Listen, I understand that. I always say I'm like a black woman. You can't touch my hair, and I can't get it wet.
That's right.
It's funny, too, because the cop guys are all macho and shit, and they're always like, hey, look at Warren, he's got his full head of hair, and then they'll like whack my back, or a couple guys will run their hands through the back of my head, and I'm like, fuck!
Yeah.
Because now I have like the brown stuff all over their hands.
Oh, yeah. Listen,
yeah.
I'm not even a cop. Someone tries to do that, they're going to get hurt.
That's when the arm lock comes in.
Off the hair.
That is the way. I never forget this. And he's a little dude, and he's an old guy. But I never forget, I'm at a conference, and Bill Rassman tries to put his hands through my hair. And he had done that once before, and I allowed him to do that because it was during a consultation at the beginning when I first got into the industry. But I guess he kind of felt, since I've known him for so long, that he had, it was, I know Spencer. He'll let me do this. And I just grabbed his hand like I was about to break. I'm like, Bill, it took me 25 minutes to get it this way. There's no way I'm letting you touch my hair. I said, if you want to tap the back or touch the front, you can a little bit, but don't mess up my hair. I kind of felt bad about that. He looked a little embarrassed.
Yeah, I tried. I don't know if you heard of this one, Joe, but I tried a Cuva. I don't know if you heard of that one.
Kobren,
it came as Amazon. No, not Kobren. It's actually Cuvva. It was like Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Rated, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I gave that a shot, and at first I thought, hey, this might be the one, man, because it sprinkled on well and it looked good. But once I sprayed that concealer, the what is it, the fiber hold spray or whatever they call it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the hairspray. It's like
hairspray.
The minute it gets wet, it looks terrible. It starts to get like the dots, like the dark color dots.
Like disintegrates.
Right. Then I'm like, oh, frick. So I sent that back to Amazon. So I'm still sticking with topic until we get to that video later. And
if you use, if you like the product when you first put it on, if you use a regular aerosol hairspray, and wear your ventilator like I do, Jesus, people must sound. If my mother were alive to hear me talk about this shit, but if you use a good drier type of hairspray, that may be a good product for you. So it could have been
maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, so sometimes you just have to experiment with these things.
But yeah, I mean, I got nothing to complain about. I mean, I'm happy with my results, and I'm fortunate the way it turned out. And, it's starting to get a little bit better in the crown slowly and surely. And, I'm happy. Like you guys said, I won, and I lucked out. The stars were aligned that day with that technician.
You won. You found the right tech. And you know what? Honestly, if you could ever get her information to Joe, I would love to speak to her. And frankly, what I want to do through the IHRS and also with the help of FUE Europe is, these technicians are going to be performing surgery. That's the way that it is. And as long as it's legal and wherever it's legal, I want to make sure that these technicians are well trained as the technician who performed your surgery. And we're going to need good people and good technicians to help train some of the not so great technicians or some new people who are getting into the field. We want to make sure that everyone is accredited and everyone is well trained. So I'd love to meet her.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I haven't forgot. It's just that I don't know if I left message with the clinic, and then my last checkup was that 10-month checkup, and I'm supposed to be calling next week, but the Hurricane Lane situation had everything shut down. But she was supposed to actually fly in to do some surgeries, but I think I might be able to get her info by next week. So either on the regular Tuesday show or the Friday show, I'll definitely have stuff for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to give it on the show. You can just send it to Joe.
Oh, yeah. I understand.
All right, Warren, listen, thanks for the call.
Thanks, guys. I just wanted to say hi.
All right, man.
Follicle Friday.
All right, man.
By the way,
you too.
I'll tell you, I'm holding the winner of my comparison in my hand right now. If you're watching.
You're teasing me. Wait, hold on. let me take a look here.
No, you won't be able to see. I thought you were watching, so I was going to tease you a
little bit. Either you have really big hands or that's a very small container.
Maybe it's both.
All right, thanks, fellas.
You never know. All right, man. Take care, Warren.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
Have a good day now.
You too.
Bye now.
Thanks for calling,
your service, dude. 888-65. I just cut off a cop. I didn't mean that. Sorry, Warren. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
What's going on? My username is Kratos23. Can you guys hear me?
What's happening, man?
How's it going?
Not much. I just got a couple questions for you guys.
Sure.
Before you do,
we
don't want your username. We want your name. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, my name is John. I'm calling from Virginia.
Right on, John. That's
not your real name. You just lied to us. First, the minute you get on the phone, you're lying to us. I'm just kidding.
Well, I got to be a little bit anonymous. I don't want people to know about my hair loss situation.
Listen, I understand. You guys don't even know my real name. I keep that in the background just in case I ever need to use it.
Yeah, my bad, guys. I mean, if you guys want me to really tell you my name.
No, we don't. This is the radio, man. Well, the radio. I keep thinking we're on the radio. Radio is dead. This is broadcasting. This is what it is today. So you are on a anonymous broadcast, so you can call yourself Shirley for all I care.
Cool, because I was watching John Wick, so I was just like, I'm going to say John.
I hear it, man. I hear you. Actually, I'm gonna do a little sidebar. I'm usually not starstruck. I see a lot of celebrities where I live, and at my place in Calabasas, I had celebrities living right across the street. I'm here in Beverly Hills now. I see them all the time in restaurants. The only time I ever felt a little starstruck is when I was at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel at Cut Restaurant, which is, what's his name, Wolfgang Puck's steakhouse, which I got to say, in my view, is a little overrated and a little expensive. But, listen, that's just me. It's good.
They usually are.
And I go to the men's room, and I am taking a piss next to Keanu Reeves.
Wow. That's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, he has a full Norwood 1, right?
I did not. First of all, I didn't look, just in case anyone's wondering. But I didn't peer over. But it was just like, and then I go to wash my hands. Is that fucking Keanu Reeves? And I go, holy shit. And he's like a tall dude, and he looked like he wasn't completely camera ready, like he was having some fun, drinking a little bit, maybe a little bloated like the rest of us, but like a normal dude. But it was Keanu fucking Reeves, like one of the most successful actors of our time.
That's crazy.
And
That is insane.
To me, and I'm telling you, I mean, Justin Bieber shook my hand. You know, I was at the at Mastro's restaurant in Beverly Hills, and all these. I mean, not that he's
also while they're taking a piss.
Yeah, also while we were taking a piss. And I see people all the time. But there was something about seeing Keanu Reeves that I was like a little girl. I don't know what it is. I had to admit that to everybody. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, wow. I would feel the same way. I mean, he's a big celebrity. He's done so much The Matrix, and then from The Matrix, John Wick. I mean, that's crazy.
Heavy duty, man. And he's tall. I didn't realize how tall he was. Because I'm like I said, I'm not on a taller side. I'm not super tall, but he's probably about 6'2". He's a big dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel short. I'm like 5'7" or something. Wow, that's crazy.
And no, it's not a man crush, whoever is texting that to me. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I just got a couple questions. I'm like a diffuse. I'm turning, like I have a Norwood 2 hairline, but I'm going into a Norwood 6. What would you guys recommend me do?
You're a Norwood 2 right now, and you know that you're going to Norwood 6? Did someone diagnose you as having a Norwood 6 miniaturized pattern?
Yeah, because I'm going towards that direction. My uncles were like that too. I'm diffuse thinning, so everywhere at the top of my head is thinning like crazy.
Okay.
Freaking me out.
All right, well, let me ask you this. I mean, are you on medication now?
I'm not. I tried taking Propecia for like 2 weeks, and that completely, can I say, like, dick? It messed up my dick completely.
You could say dick. You could say
what
penis.
happened? Like,
you could say
did
cock.
it turn colors or like strange things come out of it? What happened?
Yeah, I couldn't like feel it. It was numb. I was like completely messed up, and I had this like heavy brain fog. It was really weird.
Wow.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you're one of those unlucky ones, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Listen,
I know. It's crazy.
Now,
I was just like, what's going on? You know, the 1% of people have the side effects, and then I'm like, wow, I'm that 1%. Holy shit, this sucks.
Well, here's the good news. The good news is that you don't have the side effects anymore. So you're not one of the anomalies who are talking about having long-term or long-lasting side effects after using the drug.
Yeah.
So that's great. So have you considered talking to your doctor about using a less of a dosage and seeing if you can tolerate that?
I can try that. I've been on minoxidil for a long time, and that helps. Like,
Okay.
I've been on minoxidil for like 4 years, and it works nonstop, which is really good.
That's great.
There's also the option of considering a topical finasteride formulation that will also have minoxidil in it, and that might help to reduce or eliminate chances of side effects as well.
Okay. I'll check that out. Look into that. I was thinking, like, you have a certain amount of donor hair. I was thinking if I run out of donor hair, maybe I could have donor hair, like, from the pubic region or something, because that, like, nobody could see that you took donor hair from there and put it to the top of your scalp. Is that a possibility or no?
Anything's possible, but it doesn't mean that if it's possible that you want to do it.
Okay.
I have seen pubic hair transplanted to someone's scalp. It is not a pretty thing. I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God! Because I was thinking that, but I'm like, no, because maybe it's kind of curly or something. I don't know. It would just look really weird. So I just want to get.
I'll put it like this: the guy, the patient had come into the clinic where I was working, and he was a virgin Norwood 6. Like, he had never been touched before, and then he decided to go and have a procedure where he had multiple thousands upon thousands of grafts transplanted, not just scalp hair, but also body hair. This guy could have been taken care of with one or two good strips or FUE from, just from the scalp with a good surgeon, but he went for like the mother load of grafts, And to get that many grafts, they had to take it from the body, the chest, the back, the leg, and including the pubic region.
Oh.
So I had seen his photos and been talking to him for a while. He wasn't happy with the outcome, but he flew in to where I was working, and he came in to see me and the doctors. And I'm alone with this guy, and I'm just kind of going through his scalp, and I'm like, okay, so you had body hair, and we're just kind of reviewing everything, and I'm getting back into the crown, and I'm like, well, what's unusual is that this hair looks different than the rest of the body hair. And he goes, oh, well, that's because it's my pubic hair.
Oh, my God.
You want to imagine someone jumping out of their skin trying to jerk their arm back so fast? That was me. Like, why the hell didn't you warn me about that stuff, man? It's like, what? And I can tell you that there's a theory that that body hair takes on the characteristics of scalp hair once it's transplanted to the scalp. Not in this case. I'll just say that.
He probably had like light density in his pubic region. Maybe, I don't know. It probably looked really weird. I have a feeling if you have like thick density, like donor hair and everything, if he transplanted from the pubic region, it would look like better, maybe, but still, yeah, it's kind of, oh man. Yeah,
well, I mean, the bottom line on this case was it was just completely unnecessary to begin with, and ultimately the guy wasn't happy with the outcome. But yeah, so to address your point, it is possible, but it doesn't mean you want to do it, and I would highly recommend against it.
That's a fate worse than baldness. Is like you go up to a girl or somebody and you have like pubic hair transplanted, and it looks like the pubic hair got transplanted to the top of your head. Try to hit on the girl, and she's like, "Ew, what the hell is going on? Your hair looks like pubic hair." No,
well, here's the thing. It's like if you have, fairly straight or even slightly wavy scalp hair, but your body hair is curly, like curlier than your scalp hair, and in different characteristics, which many times it is. It's not the scalp can influence the way that hair grows. We do have anecdotal evidence on that it does influence, which kind of contradicts the idea of the theory of donor dominance, which is a whole different discussion. If it's going to happen, it's not going to happen quickly. It'll take time, and so if you were to have that kind of procedure, there will be potentially a significant amount of time where even the hair on top of your scalp doesn't matter or doesn't match up with the hair on the sides and back of your scalp, and that alone can stand out and just look unusual.
And let's not forget the possibility of moving, as you're moving those grafts and you're moving tissue, it is possible that there is some, and there's a doctor in the house, he could always call and correct me if I'm wrong, some of the glands that actually secrete the odor that we get in our crotches and in our underarms. You don't want your head smelling like your dick. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
You laugh, but yeah.
You laugh, but there's a lot of dickheads out there.
No.
So, all right, dude.
Oh, man.
Listen, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for the call, and I wish that you had a better response and without side effects from finasteride, but you could talk to your doctor about, considering, easing yourself on it and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, I was going to continue taking it, but my girlfriend at the time, I think she did some research about that. She knows about hair loss medications. She was just like, you don't want to have a smaller dick, so just don't take the finasteride, because there's a rumor going around that if you take finasteride, your dick shrinks or something.
Yeah, it's not a rumor, dude.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm kidding. It is a rumor. It is a rumor.
I shrunk down to like 9 inches. It's like really embarrassing.
Yeah. And it's very nice that your girlfriend would say that to you, by the way. That's a keeper.
For sure.
All right, dude. All right. All right. Thanks for the call. We'll talk.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. You do not want to have a smaller penis.
Follicle Friday.
888-659-3727. We'll take another call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Rob. I'm calling from New York.
Hey, Rob from New York. What's
up,
happening,
Rob?
man?
How's it going, guys? I got a quick question about some of these clinics in India. I don't know sorry if you guys have talked about it recently. I haven't gotten to tune in a while. But some of these hair loss clinics in India that I've seen on YouTube with, like, pretty good results from what I see. I don't know, if they're using cover-up or whatever, or fibers in the after photos, or what they do. But it seems to me like pretty good results, and it's, like, very inexpensive. I just was looking to get your guys' thoughts on...
Who is it?
Clinics over in India. I honestly, I can't remember. There was, like, one or two that seemed to be really good. If you said it, I might remember, but... yeah, I don't know how much...
I am not leading I am not going to lead the witness here, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, we're not leading the witness. If you have names to ask about, we can talk about it. You don't remember anything?
I can't recall the exact, oh, right here. Let me look real quick. AKESO. Queso? Sound familiar?
No.
Never heard of them.
No? Okay. Well, they're on YouTube, and they seem to have really good...
On YouTube.
results.
Everyone's on fucking YouTube. People are making decisions to have surgery because of YouTube. It's amazing to me.
I'm not making this... Well, that's why I'm calling you guys. I'm asking you guys.
No, I'm not saying that you are, actually, but so many people are.
Yeah.
Like, I got this video sent to me last week by this poor guy, has no fucking clue what happened to him. And he's sitting there with his big shit-eating grin on his face, like he just had the best day of his life, with this complete novice physician basically leading the witness, prodding this guy to answer questions about his hair transplant experience. You take a look at the images, it looked like, I mean, I haven't seen graphs like that since 1989.
Yeah.
Horrific. Absolutely horrific. And this particular company has a lot of visibility on YouTube.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, no, that's fine. No, I was just, I didn't really have any, with U.S. doctors and
here's
clinics.
the thing. There are currently 2 doctors who are accepted members. I even hate to use recommended, of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. You can check them out. They have both been vetted, and they have a long track record of doing consistently good work. That's a possibility if you want to go that route. It really depends. It really depends on what you want. You have to understand that when you travel abroad, there are so many issues that are involved, especially when you're traveling to have surgery. And who's going to do your follow-up care? What happens if there are complications? What happens if, there is if you're dealing with a clinic where there's a possible language barrier? Are you dealing with a consultant, or are you dealing directly with the physician? If there's any issues, does the clinic have a history of kind of dropping out of sight? These are all things that you have to learn about before you decide to do so. 'Cause that's a big thing, man. And you're going to the other side of the world potentially to have surgery.
I'll say this. I did a quick search, and I'm not going to repeat the name of the clinic, but I'm looking at a result, and I see a case where it's like they took this guy. It's a border. He's a Norwood 3, but you can see that he's got like his forelock is really thin, and he's probably more like a 4A, because they got to work in that forelock as well. But I'm looking at his result, and I'm seeing some really odd bumps along the hairline that are, it's not pitting, it's not ridging, it's like something really strange going on. And wow, that's kind of, I don't know, man, it's kind of weird. I've never seen anything like this before. Wow. Spencer, I'm going to send you this link. I want you to have a look at this. Let's see real quick. Share timestamp. I wish I could put this on Let's see. Here we go. Check this out. There you go.
Nothing.
Link come through?
Nope.
I'm sorry?
Nope.
Oh, wait, wrong one. There we go. I sent the link to someone else. Oops.
Let's see what we got going on here. All right, and what do you want me to say about it?
Look at the base of the hairline as the patient in the video is turning to his left.
Yeah, I saw it.
Do you see what I'm talking about with those bumps?
I do see that. I'm also looking at the. I mean, I've seen much worse, to be honest with you. But this guy happens to be he has excellent hair characteristics.
Oh yeah.
And there's less contrast because he has dark skin and dark hair. So I can see where someone online would take a look at that and be like, "Holy shit, that's incredible." But if you look at the caliber and the quality of his hair, he is the perfect storm for a hair transplant, and also the perfect storm for even a hair transplant that may not be perfect. As long as the hairline isn't too low, as long as the temporal points aren't made to be, ridiculous. Or, well, actually, I'm looking at it now.
It is kind of.
It is kind of low.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
little.
It's kind of angled into that temple point.
It's a little wig-like, for sure. Yeah. But he's the perfect candidate for a hair transplant. I mean, I would say that there are people out there that could have done a much better job, but this guy's probably happy.
That's fair to say. Yeah. I mean, he is in there showing off as a result. Yeah. So. But I would just ask you this, like, why? Okay, so you're in. Did you say you're calling from Jersey?
Yeah, New York, Manhattan.
Or New York. Okay, so I mean, you're looking at India. I mean, there are some good docs in India, but there are some good docs in other countries as well. Is this like your focus? Like you want to go to India, or are you just trying to find a place that's
you just want to
really cheap?
You just want to find a cheap place, right?
No. I was just curious. I've been looking at a lot of U.S. doctors. I actually told myself I probably would never go abroad, but then I just happened to see that. I mean, it's like I think on their website it says 45 rupee per graft, which is like nothing U.S. So it's like really cheap. So and it just looked like their results were really good. So I figured I would, just give you guys a call and ask if you've seen anyone or know personally who's gotten it. So I just figured I'd ask. Yeah,
I mean, there are guys out there. There are a couple of Indian doctors out there that are doing consistently good work. Right. But again, there's always going to be some price. And I have no problem. That's why we recommend a couple of guys to the IHRS. There was a time, and I would say right now, and I've said this on the air before, if I were to show you guys a spreadsheet of the applicants to the IHRS, which is growing, it's insane. It's mostly Turkish and Indian doctors. And there's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't have at least one application from either Turkey or India. We can't, I love to take all their money, but we can't decipher who's who at this point. They're just popping up like weeds everywhere. Everyone is getting into surgical hair restoration. If you have a medical license in general, even some people without medical licenses, they're seeing this as kind of like their golden ticket.
Yeah. It's so easy.
Yeah. It's a really easy industry to get into. The barrier to entry is almost nothing now. Frankly, all you need is an office, a punch, a couple of girls, and you're in business. So, yeah, I would say I think Joe's description of this hair transplant is correct. Mm-hmm. And I would say that if you really are considering surgical hair restoration, look at all of your options really, really carefully. But to answer your question, you can get good results overseas and abroad.
Of course.
Yeah, it just seemed a little more difficult to do research on abroad doctors than it is U.S. doctors. I think inherently that's probably true, but
I wouldn't let anybody touch me unless I saw the whites of their eyes, man. I want to make sure their hands aren't shaking.
Right.
You know, I want to make sure that they don't smell like booze. I want to make sure that, you know, these are genuine human beings. If I have to spend my time, if I'm talking to a consultant over the internet or over WhatsApp to decide to have surgery, to me that's insanity. But that's the way the industry works, man. People are filling out online consultations from third-party resources. And doctors who are part of these services don't even realize that they are potentially in violation or potentially violating HIPAA laws by allowing that to happen, by basically participating in that and paying for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't believe how stupid some of these guys are.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you.
I'm just kind of used to it.
In general, they are not business people. The level of naivete is just, it's mind-boggling. So, anyway. But look, I can't do a hair transplant, so, you know, whatever.
Right. And that's why I called to get your honest opinion on it, and I appreciate it. That was helpful.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck. Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right. Take one more?
Sure. One more.
Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Dan from Michigan. How you guys doing?
Hey, Dan from Michigan.
Hey,
What's
Dan.
happening?
Kind of in tailspin.
What's
got a
going
little
on?
question.
What's going on?
Well, I know it's the last call. Just briefly, my
Wait a
history.
second. One second. Will you let me speak for that entire time without the camera being on me, Joe?
Well, you got the controls, buddy.
Yeah, you have to be my wingman. Sorry, go
You're
ahead.
assuming I'm watching.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Dan.
well, in fact, I used to listen to you in Michigan back about 20 years ago when I was, I'm 49 now, and I was in my 20s. I started losing hair about 19.
Yeah, you remind me how long I've been doing this crazy job. What station? What station was that? It was 97.1 FM in Detroit.
Yeah, I found it on my radio somehow in my truck, and that's funny.
Yeah.
But so anyways, finally, I tried the Rogaine and all that stuff, but when, there's no internet or anything, so I'm just working at a body shop, and I saw a commercial Propecia, and so short version, I have more hair now than I had 20 years ago. But in fact, my sister-in-law, she asked me if I had a hair transplant after I started Propecia. That's how great it worked for me.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in fact, about 10 years in, all of a sudden I started losing my hair. So I panicked. I jumped on dutasteride. My doctor prescribed me, I took 1 milligram a day, and bam, right back to before. Actually better than on Propecia. And then about 3 years ago, I started, taking some steroids. I'm bulletproof. Oh, and by the way, I know you're freaked out about that. You can take testosterone; it won't touch your hair. But what happened to me? I got greedy, started taking the Winstrol. See, I was taking steroids that they don't convert to DHT; they're already DHT.
Okay.
And but my hair wasn't falling out, and I watch it every. We're all the same, right? We watch our hair, and so about 4 months ago, I noticed and I have a full head of hair, thin but full head, strong hairline. My temples started receding. I'm like, God damn. So I stopped taking those. I still take the testosterone. But then and in fact, so they switched up my dutasteride, from Avodart to generics about 6 months ago. This is where it gets convoluted.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. They changed it to, about over a year ago, they changed it to generics. So we got that going on. I'm taking these steroids. My hair starts thinning. So then I got to see my doctor next week, so I'm going to get back on a brand name. But I did order it from where I get my steroids online. It's legit Avodart brand name. And
so you're actually, and again, I'm not here to judge you by any means. You're ordering your steroids online?
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy.
I do a lot of research. It's legit. Trust me, I'm just so jacked. I mean, that's another thing. And you fall into this trap. You know, like I said, I'm 49. I'm 6'1", 195, like 6% body fat. And well, anyways, so I started losing my hair. So I got the legit brand name Avodart. So I started taking. I take 1 milligram a day, this generic. So I started taking another. So I'm taking 2 milligrams a day. So about 3 to 4 weeks in, massive shed. Well, and remember, I cut out those DHT steroids where this stuff can't help you because it goes, it's already DHT.
Yeah, but who told you that you can take testosterone and it's not going to affect your hair loss?
Nobody. I went straight testosterone for over a year, and I'm taking 5 times as much as TRT dose.
Right.
My hair was bulletproof.
Right.
It's this other shit, the orals and all this other stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. This is where I'm kind of confused. So, and also I have the generic brand that I was taking. So I jump on I'm still taking 1 milligram generic and 1 milligram of the Avodart, and now massive shed. 3-4 weeks in for about a month, and I tell you, I was paralyzed, total tailspin. Because, all right, it's just, well, never mind. Our hair is everything, right?
Well,
yeah, so...
yeah, I mean, it's not everything, but it's a lot.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, in fact, I'm kind of like you. I'm essentially a self-made millionaire thanks to Propecia, because I was a body man. And I wear a hat every day. I'd go to work in the back of the shop. When I got all my hair back, I had confidence, so I became a business. So I started buying shops, so I own multiple body shops.
Wow.
And that saved my life. Propecia, it's unbelievable. Changed everything.
When did you find out about Propecia?
Late 90s, I think like 98, 99.
Now, was it after listening to me?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Okay, well then...
Maybe. I saw a commercial.
Then you should send me a check.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember the commercial. Guy was on a bus or something. But, yeah, it totally changed my life. It changed everything. Well, got me in a little trouble, too, and, but anyways. So, nevertheless, what I'm asking about is, so the shed just stopped last week, thank God.
Okay, that's
I was
good.
freaking out. 400 hairs in the sink.
Right.
I put my head over the sink and brush, run my hand back and forth. So the shed stopped, and I don't have that tingling feeling anymore. So I think, I have my fingers crossed that because now I stopped those DHT steroids.
Well, I'm not. I just want to tell you, I'm not a physician, but you're saying that you're on Winstrol.
Yeah. Oh, Winstrol. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
did you say Winstrol?
Yeah, Winstrol V, right? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Winstrol is a steroid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's DHT.
Right. And I would say that over the years, from all the people that have contacted me, and also I've known some bodybuilders who've taken that stuff, they've all, that's like one side effect, that and acne from that drug, that is really prevalent. So I would say that since you got off it, you had that massive shed, it probably, and you need to talk to your doctor about this, we're not doctors, it was probably because of the use of that steroid.
Do you think, and I'm a really good responder, so do you think when I up my dutasteride dosage and jump back on brand name with this massive shed, I know you can't say for sure, but I kind of feel like I'm hoping from what I lost will come back.
I was thinking initially that was part of what the shed was caused from, was you said that you've been on the generic for, I think you said at least a year, right? And then you added the name brand to your finasteride, to your generic dutasteride.
That's right. Yep. 1 month into jumping on the brand name and upping my dosage, that's when the shed started, and that feeling. Just like when I quit Propecia and jumped on dutasteride, I had a big shed. I was freaking out, but then all of a sudden, there goes a miracle again. All my hair grew back.
I would say that has something to do with it. When you combine that with the steroid issue, I can't say which would be the bigger of the two offenders, but absolutely, if you're adding the name brand to the generic of your dutasteride, yeah, I mean it could be the difference between taking anything at all and or not taking anything at all and then suddenly adding it back into your regimen. So, who knows what the generic was doing? It could have been slightly effective. It could have been completely ineffective. It could have been just barely effective enough, and then you adding the real stuff.
Kept changing too.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, the key to that game is consistency, no question about it.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny. I listen to you guys. I only listen to you guys when I'm going on a tailspin once every 10 years. Then when everything's great, I disappear. I don't listen to your show anymore.
Well, glad to help.
I go on with my life.
Well, you know what? That's what we tell everybody. Just, don't go to the forums. Don't listen to the show. Go on with your life.
Oh, I got better things to do. But this happens like once every 10 years.
How dare you?
Hey, Spencer, real quick. As far as the Arimidex, aromatase inhibitor.
Yeah.
Do you think taking 1 milligram a week? Some people say it can cause hair loss. I don't know, because my E2, my estrogen levels are around 30, so they're right around. I take it because it helps with sex drive, and if I think you get it.
Now, are you like are you a professional athlete at all? You're a wrestler? Do you do anything? Are you just like this is just your thing?
No, I just don't. I own a couple body shops. I'm just in really I look like it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what sucked? No, never mind. Yeah. So, as far as the Arimidex, do you think that would?
I got to tell you, I cannot advise you on that. I mean, there are a lot of guys who actually just take aromatase inhibitors when they're using finasteride because they want to potentially, diminish the potential of any aromatizing effects, gyno and stuff like that. So normally, again, I'm not a physician. From what I've heard over the years, I've never heard anybody complain about the aromatase inhibitors exacerbating or causing any hair loss. But, if it's in the literature, then it's in the literature.
Yeah, that's in everything. Yeah, everything causes hair loss according to that. And in fact, I'm going to let you guys go, but I don't think you'd have any problem, either one of you guys, if you'd got on TRT, because I'm still taking 200 milligrams a week. And, I have to at this point. I'm married to it. I've been on it 3 years straight. So if I got off it, my T levels would be like 20. My wife would have higher ones than I do.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to risk that at this point. And when I need it, when I really need, listen, believe me, I would love to be totally jacked again. And I know that I could be if I got on that shit. It's like, I'm fucking 53 years old. You know what I want to do now? Go out, finish this show, go out to dinner, hang out, relax, come back, maybe watch a movie, pass out like an old man. That's it.
Yeah, and you don't want to go through what I'm going through right now. Man, it's paralyzing.
Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck, but I'm glad that the shed stopped.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a good. I can't even pull a hair out now, but
that's great.
Well, then you win.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I think you're in a good position.
Oh, I'm hoping they'll. Yeah, I hope I'll get back to baseline. But all right, fellas, I appreciate it.
All right, man. Good luck.
Okay.
Talk to you in 10 years.
Have a good night.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye now.
That's it. Last call for the night. It's the whole steroid.
That was a hell of a start.
Yeah, the whole steroid thing is it fascinates me, and I understand it. I mean, it can make you look like a superhuman.
Yeah, but see, this is the way I look at it. I've had the opportunity to get involved with that stuff many times, but I know myself too well, where I don't like to get stuck into doing something that I don't want to have to do.
Right.
You could call me lazy, but I just know that if I got into some sort of weekly treatment, some sort of TRT therapy, that there would come a time when I would start to miss because of, whatever, like I'm traveling or, like my travel schedule will pick up again, or, who knows, something will happen. And I will be in a position where I can't take it consistently, and I'll start to lag, and then that can open up a whole host of other problems due to crashing off of TRT.
Right.
I don't want to go down that road. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, I'm saving until I really need it. I'm saving it to the point where I could be 65 or whatever it is, and, you know, I'm somehow 30% body fat no matter how hard I'm working.
Yeah.
And I can't get it up anymore, or whatever.
No, and that's, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, the legality of this kind of thing is like you need to have a doctor's prescription in a lot of places. What if I move? It's not even legal in my state. Or what if I move and my doctor does, you know, it's like, it's not something you just walk into a store to get anytime if you need it.
Dude, go online like this dude, man. You can
apparently
you can get anything you fucking want.
It's from the internet. How safe, you know, how safe do you want it to be?
I know a guy. I think we both knew a guy who got his HGH from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. And look where he is now.
Not a smart move.
Not a smart move.
Hey,
Hey, if it works for Dan from Michigan, then God bless him. But
hey, look,
it's
man,
not for me.
It's not for me either, and I'm not judging because believe me, we all, you know, I think about like, wow, I see guys on this shit in my neighborhood. I'm like, it's like a fucking miracle. But who the fuck knows what it's doing to you? I don't know. Listen, you don't know what anything's doing to us. That's the thing.
It's true.
I can call you tomorrow and say, hey, I was just diagnosed with some shit. The show's yours. Take it easy.
Take over the show.
You know what?
Nice.
I guess the best thing about death is the finality of it. You know?
And you don't know what people are saying about you when you're gone.
That's true. And you don't give a shit.
All right. Good show.
Guys. All right, guys. Want to thank everyone for tuning in. Give out the other websites who are now sharing the show, Joe.
That would be, well, there's hairlossexperiences.com, primarily UK focused, but obviously being the interwebs, worldwide reach, great information, great interaction, and great guy that runs it. He gets it. He's easy to work with, and he supports our message. bellycapelli.com. That is the Italian hair loss and hair restoration forum. Not just Italian. They have different sections for different languages. German, French, English, Italian, Swahili, I think. But the guy that runs that forum is a stand-up guy. Known him for many years. One of the nicest people in the industry. One of the nicest people outside the industry I've ever met. And he also supports our message and is more than happy to help us get the message out. So visit both forums and let them know that you appreciate their supporting our message.
And hairtransplantmentor.com, that's Joe Tillman's personal website. Thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast. BaldTruthTalk.com is our message forum. Check out Bald Truth Talk if you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers. But remember, it's a message forum, guys. So take what you read from anonymous users with a grain of salt. Do your own due diligence and research. Also, the American Hair Loss Association, which needs an update. We're working on that now. It's AmericanHairLoss.org. And if you're considering surgical hair restoration, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
Always